Yes, this is another episode of the Round Circle podcast with your host, the Fifth General, Zacchaeus and Cinemascapes. All right, what's going on?
What's
Hey,
up?
what's good, yeah.
All right, so we got a few things to touch on today. Some big news, current news. For those who will hear this on Friday, it'll be old news to you, but it'll still be relevant news. The Pac-12 and the Big Ten Conference in college football have decided to postpone their season for the fall of 2020. Big deal made with concerns to how they would handle the COVID-19 situation and keep it down the spread. Before, Big Ten had recently discussed a sports bubble with football and basketball. They still have time for basketball. They haven't made a decision on that. But they were discussing a similar sports bubble situation like what the NBA is doing right now. Also, we're going to get into the new president-elect of Guyana. And also, we're going to get into Joe Biden. He has picked Kamala Harris as his VP running mate. We're going to get into some pivotal information in regarding her things she stands for. How does she match up with Joe Biden and his vision, and does her vision and her vision somewhat align or disalign somehow? And we'll try to break that down. All right, let's get into sports. Cinema, I'm gonna have you go first.
I'm gonna read this from NPR.
Yeah.
This was updated at 6:32 on the day of our recording. So by the time it posts, it might be a little different.
Right.
Two major college conferences, the Big Ten and the Pac-12, each announced Tuesday that they were sidelining college football and other fall sports because of the coronavirus, just weeks before schools were scheduled to play their first games. The Big Ten, which includes universities with a powerhouse sports program as Ohio State, Michigan, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Penn State, and Michigan State, said it will be looking at holding some competitions in the spring. The Pac-12, which includes elite sports programs like Stanford, UCLA, USC, and University of Oregon, announced shortly after the Big Ten, adding that officials reached a unanimous decision to call off athletic competition throughout the calendar year. So Pac-12 calendar year.
Right.
So
right.
That's for the rest of this year.
Right.
Our primary responsibility is to make the best possible decision in the interests of our students, faculty, and staff, said Morton Shapiro, chair of the Big Ten Council of Presidents, Chancellors, and president of Northwest University, in a statement issued Tuesday afternoon. In addition to football, the Big Ten's decision postpones fall sports such as cross country, field hockey, soccer, and women's volleyball under the college schedule. Basketball is categorized as a winter sport. So news that the Big Ten would postpone or cancel the 2020-21 football season was first reported by the Detroit Free Press on Monday. And so it's more statements about the health and safety, but that's the gist of it.
So 45 decided to make a comment regarding that. And he said, well, the young people, strong people, and, they could fight it off and get through the season. And then tried to say that they won't even catch it. Now, how can you guarantee that, Mr. 45? He can't. But it boils down to that I'm the president, so what I say goes, and because I say it, it's the truth. I mean, just because you say something a certain amount of times doesn't make it real. I mean, you can call on the leprechauns and fairy tales, it don't mean they're coming. So you know what I'm saying? So Cinema, give kind of your opinion and breakdown, and then Zacchaeus, you go next.
Basically, since these kids aren't getting paid,
right?
Professionals get to opt out because they're giving up pay or whatever arrangements they had set.
Mm-hmm.
So these kids get nothing, and like if they accept money, their stuff gets vacated. So what do you think?
The money is supposed to come though. We are coming to that time.
Yeah, but when that comes,
yeah,
then they can choose to risk their lives.
Right,
but right now, yeah,
exactly.
So you got to let that infrastructure come in, and then let them choose if it's worth it to them. If they want it, they can.
Yeah.
But right now, they're student athletes, which a lot of them got scholarships and stuff like that. You understand? You got the shut up and dribble, shut up and play stuff.
Lord.
But football is the biggest contact sport out of all of them.
Yeah.
Like you see how much the NBA does. You got to have 7 tests and then 4 days of quarantine before you get into the bubble.
Yeah,
right.
You have to wait for your results. If your results don't come in game time, you have to wait until they actually come in. So what they showed was, I think Phoenix played the other day. And not today's, but I think it was the game. It was either yesterday's game or the day before. One of the players had to wait. The results were coming in. He took his test a little later than everybody else did. His results came in during the game, so he couldn't play until mid game.
Right, because they ain't playing.
Right.
Are you serious about that thing?
Well, if matter of fact, if you're a coach, this is how serious they took it. And if you miss the test, you can't be on the floor with the players.
Right. I like baseball and football. They're talking about traveling.
Yeah.
Baseball, I felt they should have went down to where they spring train and get a bunch of fields near each other and do something similar.
Yeah.
Because there's not going to be any fans there anyway.
Absolutely.
And it's like, the more you travel and go from city to city,
the
more the risk.
Yeah.
That's why the NBA, out of all of them, that's the best thing you can do.
Yeah.
The NBA did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're colleges, you're talking about kids going to class, kids going, there's requirements. There's a lot of things that haven't even been resolved yet as far as that.
Yeah.
And then you're going to send them to somebody else's school where they might get contact and then bring it back. It's so much.
It's a lot to deal with. It's not the same, It's just everything is different, shift around,
And the whole thing is, the only reason why people are playing because people was missing their money.
Yeah.
At the top.
Yes. NCAA.
Mm-hmm.
Zacchaeus, give your thoughts on this.
Yeah, so it's just a different time that we're living in that we never experienced to see,
Right.
So when you see seasons canceled, we never lived to see seasons canceled.
Yeah.
But it's a new thing that they're experiencing, So when you look at that and you look at it's all about the safety. It's all about the players' safety, and the fans that enjoy the game. Safety, college football, college basketball is all about the safety. They can always get back, train around this time. They can train while they're off, and then get back to it. And we pray that we're ready for next season. But we're just holding on and just keeping hope alive. What Jesse Jackson saying, hopefully things will get back to normal again. But in the meantime, it's best to cancel just to keep safe.
Yeah.
Because it's just as you see us, people crowd and things are now opening now. There's a new they talk about a new wave and they talk about things, people being worried about catching this virus and being able to and worried about catching this virus, but it's all about, like I said again, it's all about the safety. Yeah, man. So
yeah. Well,
man.
Well, listen, you got schools that are starting this month in certain regions where it's already warm, such as the South, some parts of the Midwest and West Coast. They'll be trying to see how things go with the kids, and that's going to be a disaster. Then the rest of the schools will start in the East Coast in September after Labor Day. I don't know. And this is the reason why we're having the college conversation about students and sports and stuff like that, because we all know that what makes money for this economy is not necessarily students going to school. It's the sports that is being played, the money, the advertising that takes place that go throughout the world. You know what I'm saying? So we know that's what, like you said, the only reason why people are playing, because people's money is affected up top. You know what I'm saying? They're not really caring about what the students want. But I have to give at least some type of respect to those in the Pac-12 and the Big Ten conference for at least taking that leap first by saying, no, we're not going to put our students at risk. Here's the thing, though. You have to do something about the academic year. This has affected a few things. You have a lot of players who were going to come out in the NBA draft some have decided to go overseas, not wait for the NBA draft. Some have decided to stay another year in college because they never got a chance to finish their college year in college. And, a lot of them wanted to have that last send-off. They wanted to finish out the tournament, you know what I'm saying, before they leave, and then you got those that can't wait till the draft. Now, the NBA draft is supposed to take place sometime in October. The draft lottery, as far as knowing who is going to get the first 14 picks, will be at the end of August. And we'll talk about that on the show when that happens. It's supposed to be, I think, the August 20th or August, whatever. At the end of the month. August, yeah. It's going to be the NBA draft lottery. Yeah.
Like it does during the first round of the playoffs normally.
Exactly.
That's an exciting time to watch, So.
Well, yeah, because if you're a Knicks fan like us, we need to know what pick they're gonna be at. Well, Cinema, I don't know. You feel a little different about the Knicks now.
I'm a former Knicks fan.
Right. Yeah. But that, yeah. So, I hate. No, I know.
I'm just that. It's my protest to Dolan. I had to give up the Rangers too. That hurt because I love both of those teams. But because of the owner, I'm sick of it. I'm not supporting him and giving him another dime. And it's a personal stance that I'm not asking anybody else to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. I understand. But I know. But
you had your conviction about football. That's my conviction about Dolan. Because I've had enough of this dude. Well, and it's a shame because I love what we got going in New York and the potential. But we'll talk about that on another show.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, you know who hurts the most? Speaking on that, because who hurts the most is the players, because we the players we don't have a problem with. It's the organization stuff that's behind it. And I felt like you for years with him as an owner. For years. But then it's like, man, I support the players. But financially, let's get into that conversation. I haven't spent I'm a Knicks fan, but I haven't spent any financial money on the Knicks in a very, very long time.
My last jersey is Marbury.
Yeah, my last Knick jersey was Latrell Sprewell.
That's even before Marbury.
Wow. Exactly. So
one of those too.
So that goes to I haven't seen a Knick game in the Garden. I haven't bought a Knick towel. Well, hold on. Let me take it back. I did have a Knick. My last Knick fitted hat was back in 2013. But other than that, you know what I'm saying? It's been a long time.
Okay, I'm gonna go way back. The last time I went to a Knicks game, is when the Brooklyn Nets was called the New Jersey Nets.
See?
That's the last time. Yeah. That's the last time I went to a Knicks game.
That's a minute.
Yeah.
So basically, when that thing happened with Spike, that was the drawing board for me for like just context without going deep into it.
Mm-hmm.
When that thing happened with Spike, and I'm kind of mad that Spike said I'll be back next season.
He sure did.
Like, I said your butt should have went to Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Just for the after Mr. Principal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you're gonna let this dude get away with it. I said, I can't no more. That was just my breaking thing, because we've had these discussions, and then I'll be like, nah, I'm not gonna leave, because it has not been the players, hasn't even been the coaches, hasn't even been the general managers or the presidents. Like, we had the thing with Phil Jackson, but it's always that dude. Enjoy them from home.
Yeah, see?
All the different incidents. And I'm like, I'm done. I don't even have a hockey team. And I live in the Philly
you like
area.
hockey. Yeah.
I love hockey.
Yeah.
And I love the Rangers. And it's like, my boy is in Columbus, so I'm thinking about just rooting for the Blue Jackets from now on. Because, once I pick these teams, I'm staying with them. And I'm sorry, guys. I went with my dad. I went with Golden State. Sorry. And I'm buying Steph, because Steph got his own line now. Like Jordan got his own line out of Under Armour. Gonna get me some Steph gear.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Wow.
It's real like that. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
It has nothing to do with the players or anything or the history, because I love the team.
Yeah.
But it's like enough's enough with JD. That's all I'll call him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna get into the next topic. Zacchaeus, you sent us some info about the new president-elect of Guyana. Your family is from there. For those who don't know where Guyana is, that's in South America. Not Ghana, that's Africa. Guyana and South America.
Exactly.
No, sometimes some people get that confused. Because in my personal, because listen,
Yes, they do.
Because you know what Zacchaeus? I ran into people, right, that they've heard our music, and they say, yo, where he from? He from Jamaica or something like that? I said, nah, he from Guyana. Guyana? I was like, why you say it like that? Man, that's a far travel. I was like, well, no, it ain't. And they was like, yeah, man, Africa. And I said, no. That's Ghana.
And it's only 5 hours from the US to Guyana. It's only 5 hours on the plane. That's
exactly.
it.
Exactly.
It's like going to Nicaragua, but you're in a closer time zone than they are.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've been to Nicaragua, so Guyana's close.
Well, because people don't realize that Guyana basically, that Trinidad sits off the coast of that part of South America where Guyana and Venezuela is.
Exactly.
So a lot of people don't realize how close Trinidad is to Guyana.
It's very close. Matter of fact, the flight from Guyana to Trinidad is only about 30 minutes.
See?
Right. 30-something minutes. 30,
we're up in the air, and then we're starting our descent.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. So a lot of Guyanese live in Trinidad.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's how it is, man. I mean, but the thing is that with this new president elect, Muhammad Ifran Ali, because the other president before him was David Granger, was a black man. David Granger.
Yeah.
They run the PNC. That's a People's National Congress. That's another party. And the Ifran, the elect president right now, is part of the PPP, People's Political Party.
Mm-hmm.
There's two parties there, and the Guyanese government is run democratically, and people don't know that it's democratic.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more of it's a mixed culture, because they have Indian. It's heavy populated with Indian, and heavy populated with Africans.
Yeah.
Well, so every time when people come to me, they always say that, wait a minute, you're not. You say. They look at me and they say, nah, you can't be from Guyana. You're not from Guyana. You're not Guyanese background. No. Aren't you from, Ghana? I said, no. Guyana. They always get it mixed up.
Yeah, they do.
They always get it mixed up because I'm gonna be honest with you. A few years ago, I traveled I was in Guyana too, but a few years ago I traveled to where was I in Florida, and I think most of the person looked at me and said, "Nah, man, you can't be because the only people they meet from Guyana is Indians."
Yeah,
so I said, "Nah, yeah." So they looked at me and said, "Nah, man, you can't be a Guyanese. You look African to me. I look at you right now. You look African to me." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, they have Africans, and is African is also is Indian, but it's also African too. Mm-hmm. Is also African too. So we're gonna see what this new president gonna bring to the table because he wants to see the best for Guyana. But David Granger, the one before that, wanted to see the best for Guyana too. Christian background, and he's older. But this president elect he's 40 years old. So he has a fresh ideas for Guyana. He has fresh, and he's I think he's Muslim too. He's Muslim and he's Indian. So you think he has fresh ideas for Guyana and fresh, and moving forward, he wants to see. Well, the pandemic has been a little not so much there, but people have been wearing masks and been doing the distancing. So he wants to see things better for the country and I can see that, and this is what other countries need too. That's considered third world countries because Guyana right now is very good with oil, very good with resources, and because it's a mixed multitude, there's a land of six peoples, meaning African, Indian. They have believe it or not, I was in Guyana 5 years ago and I went to a Chinese restaurant. A Chinese restaurant. They have the Asian population there too. Word. They also have a Portuguese and Brazilian. They have a little Brazilian population there too.
I need to.
They would because that's South America, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's building up, and this president, because we're gonna see what he does. Because I believe David Granger, the president before that, did a good job keeping the peace. It wasn't so much crime, and he's been, but the one thing with the Guyanese election, it is long. As soon as you get onto the news, the Guyanese news, you hear about all they talk about is the election. Other things matter too, but all they talk about once in a while they have crime, like few minutes they have crime. But one thing I gotta say that a lot of Venezuelans are coming over to Guyana because Venezuela is in a bad state right now. So they're trying to address that situation, and we're gonna see what this president-elect gonna do for the new generation of Guyanese and this new regime. We're gonna see what they're gonna do. Yeah. So that's all what I gotta say about it. Man.
So let me ask you a question. So what made you inspired to bring this subject up on today's episode? Like what was a motivating factor that you felt like from a world standpoint that we needed to talk about this? I'm asking for the listener because the listener is probably gonna want to know, because I'm pretty sure there's not enough news about Guyana on a major scale anyway. So I know they're probably trying to figure out, hey, well, this is new. We don't really hear about Guyana, and I'm pretty sure there are people listening to this podcast probably never even necessarily thought about Guyana in a political way.
Right.
So just kind of give a brief explanation for the audience. That's all.
Definitely. Yeah. I still have family there.
Yeah.
And I stay connected because I stay connected to Guyanese news, and I stay connected to what's going on with my family. And I still have my family here too, everywhere. And sometimes we talk about Guyana. So I wanted to keep close contact what's going on. I wanted to keep current what's going on in that country. So I said, you know what? This is the round circle. So why not? It's world news. When you talk about our round circle title is world news. So why not bring that up and mention that because this is a big news, and it was big news in Guyana.
Yeah.
For the because he was elected president on August the 4th, so and there was inauguration too. So I said, why not bring this up and mention this on the show to let people know that there's other parts of the world, things are going on in other parts of the world, and that's where my background is from and my family's from, and why not? And I just felt the need to just spread the news. So I was, it was something to look at because for a long time I've been like keeping very close attention to the Guyanese news and what's going on in the election. So I said, why not just bring this up and just let them know? So that's what inspired me to do that.
So last question from me. What were the last plaguing issues that were under the last president that is going to be addressed under this new president-elect of Guyana?
I think the biggest thing right now is to keep people united because, Guyana has a history of division between Indian and Black. So I think with this new president, he wanted to bring people united. Together we stand, divided we fall. So he want to just address certain issues concerning the growth of Guyana and also concerning the trade. Guyana is big on trade with bauxite and oils, and so you want to address that as far as what's the future for that market right there, and also too tourism, which is not really so big in Guyana. Which if you go to Guyana, if you go to Guyana, you got to go with somebody you know. You got to go with somebody because it's not really heavy in tourism. There's a place called Linden that they're trying to build up in tourism. So to get tourism right now, there's no tourism going on anyway because of this coronavirus. But I guess it's just talk about future. What's the future plans? The growth of the country and the resources and minerals it can grow. Because it's the economy. There's not so much. It's crime, but it's not heavy. So it's been doing good. David Granger did a good job with that. The last president. So now this president now is he's young and he got new fresh ideas. He said, I'm not thinking about nothing negativity. He's thinking about nothing negativity, although negativity it happens, but he has new ideas to keep Guyana moving forward. That's about it.
Cinema, any questions?
No, I'm good.
All right.
I've been kind of, because I know him, I've been kind of checking stuff out now.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, man.
So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that.
Keep an eye on that. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you. Okay, I really wasn't gonna go there, but I guess I have to. You was last there within the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. You said to me that the biggest issue that you saw and that your mother and your father taught you about for years was the poverty issue.
Yeah.
And you saw with your own eyes that it was the Black Guyanese community that suffered the most. Now,
yes,
Andre 3000 from Outkast, for those who don't know, should know, he wore a shirt for old, I think it was an MTV World Awards, Music World Awards. On his shirt, it said, darker people across nations suffer the most. Why?
Yeah.
I remember that.
Right. Now, his shirt sparked some conversation to look just beyond what goes on here to black folks in America, but black folks in other nations. Why is it that a nation like Guyana that you just broke down is a population that is almost split between the Indian, whether they be East Indian or indigenous Indian or the descendants of African or descendants of Aboriginal Guyanese people?
They have them, yeah.
So why is it that a place like Guyana has that division to begin with. That would mean that in Guyana there has to be some type of caste system, racial systemic system in the country of Guyana. You want to speak on that?
Yeah, that's been going on for a long time, man. In 1960, what was it? 1961, 1962. They had something called Black Friday in Guyana, where there was a riot where a black young man walking to a grocery store, and I think he must have took something, but I think he was killed by an Indian that owned the store, and that sparked the riot between the Indians and black. They called it Bloody Friday in 1962. My father was a part of that riot. And even before then, it was always a vision, But even when I went to Guyana, he really mixed with Indians. Although I'm not saying that they're not. There's some that will work with you, and there's some that will not get so close to you in Guyana. There's always a heavy division there. And I'm hoping and praying that it could be in unison. The country could be in unison to move the country forward, because you see the thing is, and when it comes to and that's another thing too. When it comes to poverty, there's a place in Guyana called All Boys Town, and there's a village where my mother come from, and I pass by there and I see, and it looks a little run down. A little shanty town, a little poor, means poor, poor in poor conditions. And then you go to certain parts when you see some of the Indians there, but it's very well established. Look like you're in Chase Bank in Staten Island, very well kept and everything. I think for most parts, even here in the U.S., sometimes with our living conditions, sometimes it's not cared for so much, or sometimes people blame it on us. They say, "Well, y'all are the ones that don't clean up your neighborhoods. Y'all are the ones that you don't respect each other's property. You don't clean up each other's neighborhood." I've been hearing that for the longest time. This is why it looks the way you do. Why can't you clean up after yourself and clean this? Look, you go to the other side of the town and everything is well kept and well clean and so forth and so forth. And then you go to the black people's side and you see all the mess around and you see all the garbage on the floor and so forth and so forth. But that's the talk I've been that's been the talk for the longest time, But I feel that we can play a part in keeping our neighborhoods clean and keeping our neighborhoods clean and address certain things. Like sometimes the streets are not. Sometimes when you're driving on the streets are very crooked, you're gonna address certain things and address it. Don't ignore it, but address it and keep on top of it. Because as you can see, that every time when we address something, we're always chosen last, or something has to happen. Like I don't know every cinema and if I don't know if you ever see the movie called Panthers with 1995.
Absolutely,
Panthers.
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, with
Own it.
Yeah, with the brothers
Kadeem Hardison.
Kadeem Hardison, Mario Van Peebles was the one that produced it.
Mm-hmm.
And you see, in the scene, I noticed so that movie came out since 1995.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember it very clearly as a young man, being 21 at the time. 20. Oh, I'm giving my age out. I'm giving my age. I was 20 at the time, and I was saying to 21, and I said, wait a minute. So I had to take a boy that was killed by the traffic light. There wasn't a traffic light on the street,
mm-hmm.
but people were protesting. The major spark of the Panthers was part of the spark of the Panthers was that it's a traffic light,
mm-hmm.
a part of the street, and there was no traffic light.
Mm-hmm.
It took at least a few kids that was riding on a bike or walking to be struck by a car for them to address the problem. But before then, there was no traffic light on that. It was a dangerous street because as a boy riding the bike, he got hit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the scene, the beginning of the movie, where the boy was riding the bike,
Mm-hmm.
he was riding the bike, and he was going to school riding the bike, and then next thing you know, a car come from nowhere and smack hit him. The reason why I brought that story, the reason why I brought that movie up in that story, because same thing with the condition. Sometimes it takes a lot. Sometimes we don't wait until. Sometimes we have to address the situation before it happens. We can't wait until things happen and then all of a sudden you want to address the problem, you know? So all this, when it comes to living conditions, sometimes something is systematically set up for us to be living in certain conditions and not given certain resources to help build us up. But in another sense, we can also help our communities too and address certain things and don't ignore it.
So let's save that for another show that concerns where we live now.
Yeah.
So we got to get into our last subject because this is going to take some time. All right. Kamala Harris. She has been picked. Yes. I think a lot of people saw this happening. Some people didn't.
I didn't see this happening.
But I didn't really care. All due respect. No disrespect, but all due respect. I didn't really care if she was picked, but I knew that all roads were pointing to a woman being picked. Didn't think it would be a black woman or a half black woman such as her. But they would say that a woman would be picked, that they would basically filibuster the conversation to make Joe Biden pick one. So Kamala Harris has been picked as the VP. She ran for against Joe Biden and for the Democratic nominee. She didn't really do well, but her voice was very instrumental in some of the things that people have concerns for today regarding Joe Biden. Because a lot of people feel like, well, some of the stuff that she wanted, is that something you're going to bring to the table? How does it go? What was questioned was, would they even have any type of chemistry? So here's what we're seeing. We're seeing what we call a parallel difference. And I'm going to go to this time. So years ago, we had Barack Obama, who became the president. He picked Joe Biden. Now we have Joe Biden running, and he picks Kamala Harris. Let me respect the history of what's happening. We have we have a woman who is from Tamil Indian descent, and also the other half of her is Jamaican descent, black from Jamaica. I just wanted to say that for those that think, they could be smart about what I'm trying to say and say, oh, well, Jamaica, what kind of Jamaica? Listen, Jamaica, black people, okay? Black people who are from Jamaica. Like, you know what I'm saying? Let's not get into the semantics, okay? So she's picked for the VP. I'm going to play a clip because that's going to help this subject. This is Kamala's question. This is an interview that she had with the Griot. She was questioned about the black agenda, part 1.
One of the questions that the black community has is, Senator Harris, if you are elected president, what would be your agenda for the black community?
Right.
We know that black Americans are arrested at higher rates for marijuana. Right. We're denied mortgages when we loans for mortgages. Right. There's a wealth disparity. So how do you help the black community from the White House?
That's right. Well, the first step is to understand that the needs of black folks are the needs of everyone, and the needs of everyone are the needs of black folks. It is also equally important to understand that this is a country that had over 200 years of slavery, had Jim Crow, had legalized segregation and discrimination, and now de facto segregation and discrimination. And so while our needs are like everyone else's in terms of we want our babies to be born healthy and live a happy and productive life, we care about issues of climate change, we care about issues of national security. We also know that when you look at disparities around wealth, around home ownership, around education, around who is stopped, arrested, and incarcerated in this country, there are huge disparities based on race, and that has to be dealt with. So part of my proposal, in terms of the agenda, specifically for Black folks, is about what we need to do, for example, around maternal mortality. I have actually sponsored a bill and intend, as President of the United States, to make sure it is passed, around recognizing that Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die in childbirth. And when you study the issue, you know that it is not about the education level of somebody, it is not about their socioeconomic level, it is literally about their race. Remember what happened to Serena. It is literally about racial bias in the medical health professions that cause people to not take Black women seriously when they walk into the door of that hospital or that emergency room in terms of how they talk about what they need. The agenda includes HBCUs, for example. I am a proud graduate of Howard University. I know that our HBCUs have raised and helped raise generations of leaders in this country, and do it in a very special way that is about nurturing and about creating high standards and challenging young people to be their best, not giving them any excuse, but giving them all kinds of support. So we need to do more. Yeah, I'm right now working on, and actually got it out of the Senate, and the House passed it around giving more money to HBCUs around their historic landmarks. But there's more to be done around creating incentives for more young people to go into the STEM professions through HBCUs. There is what we need to do around the point that you were raising about the economic disparities. I have a proposal that will be my first order of business when elected president, that is about lifting up middle-class working families. And what I'm proposing specifically is that families that are making $100,000 or less would get a tax credit that they would receive at up to $500 a month. This proposal, economists across the board have said, would be the most significant middle-class tax cut for American families and generations, and it would lift up 60% of Black families out of poverty.
So it does touch Black families.
Oh, absolutely, directly. Because when you look at the proportionality of where Black families are, you see it in terms of housing and home ownership, where white families, something, I'm going to get this generally right, but something around 70% of white families own their homes versus somewhere around 40% for Black families. Yeah. So you don't have to look very hard to see that disparities exist. But you also don't have to look very hard to see this, that when we're talking about families, regardless of their color, they have an equal desire to work hard, to love their children, and allow them to have a pathway and an equal pathway to success. Black mothers, white mothers of whatever race, wake up in the middle of the night worrying about their children and their health and their well-being, and we need to address that. But I will say there's another issue that we need to address that's specific to Black families, and that is this. We cannot have a society where a father or a mother, by the time their son turns about 12 years old, has to sit down and have the talk with him about how he will be stopped or chased or arrested or even killed because of the color of his skin.
And so how do you intend to change that from the White House? How would you change policy around that?
Part of it is that the president makes a decision about who's going to run the United States Department of Justice. Currently, under this administration, they have shut down the pattern and practice investigations that involve investigating police departments that have a pattern and practice of discrimination. Those need to be reopened and revived with vigor, because no American should want that a police department that has a history and a pattern and practice of discrimination should be able to get away with that without consequence and accountability. Another issue is what happens through the Department of Justice around consent decrees, which are basically a requirement that police departments that have a history of that kind of behavior, they're under a court order for supervision. This Department of Justice has essentially shut those down.
Right.
First order of business would be to revive those.
Okay. Sorry, that was a longer clip than I imagined. I have a shorter clip that's going to be next that's going to help also what she stands for. Let's break this down. Let's first remember that the question specifically was, what are you going to do to concern the issues of the black community? She laid out some agendas that are still, once again, not specific to centerpiece and around the black agenda, but what we would call trickle-down policies. Zacchaeus, what do you got to say about this?
You know, sometimes you hear politicians talk about the black agenda, and Kamala Harris is, I mean, but she hasn't. I still haven't heard what specifically can be done about certain things like education, innocent people being incarceration, the police brutality. Like, I know she talked about policies and addressing the police departments, the professional police departments. So going forward, what is the tactics that's going to be used? I know maybe I'm speaking about it too early, but I mean, she said something too as well, as far as like addressing certain issues concerning benefits concerning benefits like it will benefit if you help the black community. It will also benefit everyone. The thing is that some people, the privileged is already being benefited. So it's not helping them. We still need help.
Thank you.
We still need help.
Thank you.
We're still getting the billy club slapped over our heads.
Thank you.
We still are fit. We still there's still discrimination in the schools as far as like the certain treatments are given in education that the black community in schools we don't receive. We still don't receive. It's 2020 and we still don't receive them. It's certain things as far as like you said, living conditions that we still needs to be addressed. It's still not. It's so. It's like a dance around, but not direct. It's not directly, specifically concerning the communities, but it's like a dance around it to dress it up and to make it look good, but it still does not penetrate our community. Yeah.
Cinema, just give me 2 minutes, because I need your opinion. I'm going to play a clip that she was asked again about a particular issue that concerns black people. And I want you to hear this answer. You ready, Cinema?
I'm ready.
Here we go. Oh, here we go with an ad. Oh, Lord. I'm sorry, y'all.
Do you support reparations for black people?
Well, listen.
Again, let's throw it back.
Do you support reparations for black people?
Well, listen. Again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination, segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the LIFT Act. Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of black families who are in poverty.
So by default, it affects black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore.
But no, if you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit black children, black families, black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this: any policy that will benefit black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No, because whatever benefits that black family will benefit that community and society as a whole and the country. Right?
Cinema, please.
Right? She said, number one.
Help me, Cinema, help me.
Let me just start. Yes or no? Do you support reparations? Yes or no? If your answer is no, then what is your solution? I'll just start there.
Yes. Yeah.
Number one, Lift Act? What is this? We need a cab? Or a car service? The Lift Act. And it'll benefit everybody. No, we're talking about you keep mentioning the disparity.
Thank you.
What did Inigo Montoya say? His boss say? What did he say to his boss? You keep using that word. I don't think you know what that word means. You don't know what the word disparity means. You're talking like a politician. Or like an ill-informed preacher. I'm just going to use buzzwords that people use, but I don't have a proper definition.
Yeah.
If there's a disparity, disparities. Now she got me talking all blah, blah. If there's a disparity, something has to change so that disparity doesn't continue.
Yes. Come on, Cinema.
So, what real plan? You sounding like Broadway Joe. Well, no disrespect to my dude Namath, because I'm a Jets fan. No disrespect to Joe Namath. You smoke, and I gotta be careful because I do live in Delaware. But I don't care. But it's like, it's this thing we talked about on earlier shows and that y'all talked about on Mr. Z and Fifth, dancing around the issue with a good sounding answer, but not really having a solution to the problem. It's like, get us in there and we're not really going to do nothing. We'll pass this Lift Act and basically the funding will go to like the stimulus to the top half of the country. My grandpa used to say something about politics. He said, same bird, different wings.
There we go.
Basically, a two-party system that's connected in the middle, right wing, left wing. Literally, we use those words. And it's like, everyone gets explosive. Why are you attacking that? And say something about a Democrat online. Say something about the governor of New York. Say he's talking about this, but he's eating lamb or whatever. The backlash you'll get because it's emotion, because people can't look at things in layers. How politics work is I say something, y'all get excited, but at the end of the day, you have to look at what action is. Do these people ever tell you to go vote for the judicial or study how judicial law happens? That'll change the crime system. But no, they don't want you to touch the judicial because they make money throwing us in jail.
Hello.
And so, unless you're coming up with real solutions that will really change our community, sit down.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're no better than 45.
Heard it all before.
Exactly.
Well, Joe lies ain't working now.
Now.
Look who's hurting now.
Exactly. So it's like, okay, let me pull something out of my butt cheeks to lift that.
Yo, why was she stumbling? Okay. There was a lot of stumbling and fumbling. You noticed that, right? There was a lot.
Because you remember when you were a kid and you was making it up?
Yeah.
And you thought your mom was buying it?
Mm-hmm.
But she's laughing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're listening to the stumbling and the fumbling.
Yeah,
and
but
it's like
what I also found disrespectful was her attitude when she goes, "I'm not gonna sit up here and do something just for black people." No. See, that clip I had to play because people who advocate for her have not seen that. They don't know her position on specific issues in terms of policy that was asked of her. And she gave.
And I don't like her education plan either, but we won't even talk about that.
Hey, well, you know,
because it's unrealistic. Because if you've never been an educator, you can't say that. Increasing school hours does not help. You already got kids, you got after school programs who are stuck there for hours,
mm-hmm.
and you only learn but so much, and then you can't.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really know how things work. You're out there legislating and saying things, and you're going to put things in action that's eventually going to hurt more.
Right. See? Because you don't understand.
And who's paying the teachers to be more hours with somebody else's kids when that's already enough?
Exactly.
And I know that from being in the classroom. And I love kids, but there's a time of day I need to go home.
Exactly.
Or I ain't coming back tomorrow.
The kids don't want to be there that long either anyway.
Exactly. Well, it's not good for them to be there that long. They need a change.
Especially if they're little kids.
Right. They need some aftercare or something else so they can have a change of scenery, a change of environment that's not as hard, some way to do their homework, relax, play a little bit. You need a change of scenery, you know. That's why people are going crazy being, quarantined in their houses because it's not natural.
Right.
So what was interesting in my take from this is this. You can't, as a candidate, on one end, point out things that were specific policies against the civil rights of black people. And then when we want a policy to change what those policies were that were against the civil rights of black people, you say that there's not a plan for that there's a general plan? You have to have why is it that when the other communities, they have an agenda, which I respect them for it, but when black people have one, the Hispanic Mexican community can say, here's what our policy is. Here's what our agenda is. What you gonna do for it? The Chinese, here's our agenda. What you gonna do for it? The gay community, which is not even a race. They'll say, here's what we want. What are you going to do about it? There's always something written or at least addressed when it comes to them. And they are never told, can you imagine, especially in this day and time of 2020, can you imagine if somebody went to Kamala or another person and they said, what are you going to do? And then she goes, I'm not going to sit up here and do something for the gay community. No.
Be outraged. Man,
can you imagine if she would have said that? Zacchaeus, go ahead.
Man, if she would have said that, the communities, not even just the gay community, I'm going to just say it. People would have came down on them.
Yes.
They would have hushed us and said, Biden, they would have told Biden he is crazy for letting her in there.
Absolutely.
You know what they would call her? They would have called her bias. Let's just call
No.
They call Camilla bias.
They no. If she would have said that about the gay community, they would have called her homophobic.
Yeah.
Yes,
because that's the word that is used. If she would have sat up there, and said, "I'm going here," If she would have sat up there and said, I'm not going to sit up here and do something just for the Jewish community. No! She would be called an anti-Semite. Am I right?
Yeah, Semitic, anti-Semitic. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
so what she has to understand is this. And then you know what's going to happen is during this whole time, a lot of things are going to be pulled up because she used to be a district attorney. And then she used to be a district attorney for San Francisco. Then she was another attorney for California. I'm getting my titles wrong, but you know that's been her thing. And she had to address the she's more in the justice system background. Okay, so they're gonna pull up her record as far as her conviction rate and all this other stuff and certain things that she put to trial, how much jail time was given to certain people in certain cases, and a lot of those people, I'm willing to bet, that were affected the most were black people. You know what I'm saying? So that issue is gonna be addressed. They're also gonna dig into her husband's background, who just so happens to be a white man, and I'm not saying that. I don't know another way to say it, but he's a white man. And so they're going to get into the whole interracial marriage dynamic, and they're going to get into that, but they're also going to get into the stuff that her husband is into. We're going to see a lot of things come out more on her. And I'm going to tell you what we're also going to see. We're going to see Kamala. We're going to see more of Kamala's dirt than Joe Biden's dirt. I promise you that's what's going to happen in the media.
Of course. Yeah.
And it's mainly because of the fact that, even though she, even though she's half black and half Indian, but that Indian side of her will not be on trial. It's that black side that will be on trial, just like Obama, who was half Kenyan and half white. And the Kenyan side was on trial. Am I right?
Yes. You're right. Yes.
So that's exactly what's gonna happen. But I know some people probably listening to the show and they're like, "Hey, where was all of that energy for Obama as far as the black agenda then?" I will admit this on the air that generally a lot of black folks thought that eventually Obama would address a black agenda. He never did. So what that did is that made everyone after him come up with, or at least adhere to what the black agenda can be. And look, if that's got to be what it's got to be going forward, that's what it should have been in the past. And there was always agendas of the past, because we all know that historically with Martin Luther King going to JFK, then Lyndon B. Johnson, there was always something on the table that he wanted and his idea for the black agenda. And then we also had the Black Panther Party, who had the 10-point plan for the black community, which is an agenda that I agree with the most, is theirs. Mm-hmm. And I didn't hear any of that spoken from her. But listen, she has up until November. It's late in the game. I mean, it is August 11th. So it's kind of late in the game.
Way late in the game.
And there isn't going to be any big rallies anytime soon because of the social distancing orders. We're going to have to close up soon, but Cinema, any last words you want to speak on this? I thought we had more time on this, but go ahead, Cinema.
Politics, man.
Yeah.
It's like, every time you think we're making progress, you find out who's willing to sell out quick. Mm-hmm. Quick. Quickie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A lot of the problems, until they're really addressed, there's not, you're not gonna be able, until somebody really wants to address these things and not just politic about it, we're not really going to have any solutions. If no one's going to really talk about where the balance of power comes from what affects us, for real, we're just going to be spinning wheels.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because it's a shame. You know, like Angela Ross said, we built this place for free. And what did we get? We get accused of being lazy. You know, we've been exploited. And it's like, I've had businesses, you know, my family had a business.
Yeah.
That when they didn't want us to have the business no more, all of a sudden something came up. And that was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not fair.
No.
And all the hard work you promise and everything, they just take it away from you.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
Yeah.
And we didn't do anything wrong. In fact, we were cleared.
Yeah.
But the damage had already been done.
Yeah.
It's real talk. And so if you're going to dilly-dally and play the game, don't try to act like you represent us.
Yeah.
And that's all I got to say about that.
Zacchaeus.
Yeah, man. I mean, you see, you can talk a good game, but if you don't, you see, the thing is that Kamala Harris is a person that she don't have the. I'm gonna just say it, man. She don't have the best interests for our community like that. It's not like that, because you see, she the reason why she's speaking that but she's basically trying to say that what she said no, she's just trying to say that she wants to be a person for everyone, you know, because the thing is that she, when it comes to addressing all issues, what's gonna happen is that she'll mention it, but nothing will be done. Nothing will be done unless you come from way back when, where the Panthers had that list of what they want in the black community to be exposed and to be addressed. It's not gonna get done. I mean, she's talking a good game, but it might be and I won't be surprised if it will be another Obama dancing around issues and addressing certain communities.
Yeah.
Enough said.
All right.
With that, yeah.
Whatever I have to say new, we'll get to that later on because there'll be more stuff, and then we'll save that for a later show as more develops on this year's presidential election 2020.
Yeah, I want to say something real quickly.
Yeah.
But this had nothing to do with the topic.
Yeah.
But I wanted to give R.I.P. and condolences to a wrestler called Kamala.
Oh yeah.
A WWF. He was big in the 80s and big in the early 90s, but big in the 80s. You know.
Yeah.
He passed away recently, and I just wanted to address that to the show. You know. Yeah.
Definitely.
Also, rest in peace to one of the we got this last week. One of the founding members of the Roots.
Right, Malik B.
Yeah.
Yes. You gotta mention. Yeah.
That tore me up.
Yeah. No. R.I.P. Man. Yeah. For real. Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the guys from the show called Good Times. He used to play
Ned the Wino.
Ned the Wino just recently passed away.
Yeah.
So condolences to his family, and he will be greatly missed because he was just a good character on that show, you know. So
good character actor.
Yeah. All right. Cinema. Give out your social media. Where can they reach you?
You can reach me on Instagram at Cinemascapes and Cinemascapes Music. You can reach me on Twitter at Plain Cinemascapes. You can reach me on Facebook at Cinemascapes Music. Yeah, I think that's about it.
All right, Zacchaeus, when can they reach you, man?
You can reach me on Facebook, Wayne Zacchaeus Bacchus on Facebook. Also on Twitter, Wayne Bacchus at Wayne Bacchus 2 on Twitter. Also on Instagram, Zacchaeus B73. Yeah.
All right, y'all can reach me at the Fifth General on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We're gonna get up out of here. We'll see y'all next time on another episode of The Round Circle. Peace.
Peace.